Welcome to the first episode of My UP Politics, a candidate spotlight here on My UP News. I'm Andrew Lawrencer. Tonight we're focusing on a prominent candidate in the race for U.S. Senate from Michigan, Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, as he prepares for what promises to be a heated race following Senator Gary Peters' decision not to run for office again in 2026. We sat down with Dr. El-Sayed to discuss key issues affecting the Upper Peninsula. We started our interview by asking Dr. El-Sayed about housing in the Upper Peninsula, with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, or MSHDA, reporting a record-breaking state assistance. We wanted to know his thoughts on the federal government's role in addressing this critical issue.
Yeah, I got to tell you, as a somewhat young person talking to people that are younger than me, I know that housing affordability is one of the biggest sources of anxiety that people are worried about, that really challenges them. A lot of young folks growing up don't know that they'll ever be able to own a home. And when I hear you talking, I hear an issue that is, yes, local, but is also local and replicates itself nationally. And when that happens, there is always a role for the federal government. Now, look, we haven't traditionally thought of the federal government as having a role in this, but when you have a local problem that manifests itself locally but happens everywhere, I think there's now a responsibility for the federal government to step up. And there's a couple of different places here that I think are really important to consider. The first is that part of the challenge is that you have these new technologies that enable folks from far away to buy access to homes and use them to create passive income. You've got your Airbnbs and Verbos and these short-term rentals that are pulling housing stock out of the local economy in ways that are raising prices for everyone. I think standing up to the power of these large corporations and offering a level of regulation, considering the impact that it has in communities like the UP or even cities like Detroit, I think is really important. The second, though, is we're not building enough homes. And part of that is about money, and part of that is about zoning and regulation. And I think being able to empower the federal government to set a level of zoning standards around empowering the kind of building that we want and making investment in affordable housing is critical. Because this is not just an issue I hear about here in the UP, it's an issue I hear about all over the state, and frankly, an issue that people are talking about all over the country, which means that we need federal regulators and federal legislators to act.